Endure and Survive. That was the title of The Last of Us, Episode 5, Season 1. And unfortunately for Sam and his brother, Henry, they didn't survive.
No, they didn't survive. Bites, suicides. It was pretty sad business in this episode, but we did get quite a few good deaths. A bit of action compared to the previous episodes, and oh aye, Big Joel.
One death I was looking forward to more than others just due to how bad the character is. But before we get into the episode, before we review the episode, and let's have a quick look at the ratings here. So I think an interesting thing is the ratings for the show have actually went up since the premiere. So episode 1 did 4.7, episode 2 did 5.7, episode 3 did 6.4, episode 4 did 7.5. We're yet to find out what episode 5 did. I've got a feeling it might not go up because of the changed time slot. But I think this is good news for shows because, well, good news for this show because if you look at most shows, they struggle to kind of keep their premiere rating. I mean, if you look at the Mayans MC, the best rating they ever did was the premiere. People tuned in thinking they were getting Sons of Anarchy.
I tell you what, right?
They just weren't.
I'm surprised that after episode 3 it went up 1.1 million.
Yeah, I'm actually... Well, maybe people knew the gay stuff was gone, so like, right, you know.
Or maybe people wanted more gay stuff, I'm not sure.
Maybe, but we'll see if The Last of Us can continue their trend of going up in the ratings. But we do kick off the episode with basically we see. I guess it was a flashback. We see, although it was like a mini flashback. I think it was like a couple of days at the most. A day, 24 hours. Well, we see a couple of weeks ago from like Henry and Sam where they're evading.
It was about 10 days, alright?
Alright, 10 days, 2 weeks, who cares? They're evading the soldiers. We see Kathleen and her crew taking over Fedra, and we see them like just like wiping out. So the people of Kansas City, they're celebrating the overthrow Fedra, but it turns out, we find out later on why Kathleen wants to kill Henry so much. But we see Henry and Sam, they're hiding from the people of Kansas City. Henry is partnering up with a fellow collaborator called Edelstein, and he was the guy that Kathleen shot in episode 4, which didn't really have that much of an impact, if you ask me.
No, Kathleen sucked, and she still sucks in this episode. And again, this just, I don't get how we're 20 years in, survivalist, big tough guy with a big AR, and he's listening to her. All I'm seeing is Rose for 2.5 Men, and I can't unsee it.
Anyway, we then get Henry and Sam. They're like hiding out in the attic of an abandoned building. They're eating food. Sam's complaining that he's hungry. They pretty much ran out of food.
I know he's 8 and he's deaf and he's got a disability, but get him told here. It's like, I've did all my bit. I mean, see to actually keep this kid alive for how long? 8 years, considering he's deaf. Henry's did a good job.
Well, you could argue. I mean, it's only recently Henry's been on the run, but I get what you're saying.
Aye, but realistically, most scripts would be like, see this kid, get rid of him.
Aye, well, probably true. So...
And he had leukemia, poor kid.
Yeah, not a lot going for him. So
after, eat away his ears or something?
So, 10 days in, they're running out of food. Henry tells Sam that Edelstein is likely being captured and killed, so it looks like they're going to have to make their own way out of the city. And as they're about to leave the building, Henry watches the scuffle that's happening outside. There's a car crash, and then he sees Joel taking out his attackers with ease. Henry looks on intrigued, and then he tells Sam that he has a new plan. So we skip later to that night, and we see Sam and Henry. They sneak up on Joel and Ellie. I think Sam steps on the glass, and then Henry gives him the sign language that, here, be careful, glass makes noise, and we don't want to make noise. So even though Sam's deaf, he still manages to sneak up on Joel, even though Joel had the glasses out. I mean, it seems like...
You know what? I can accept that.
Joel's been outsmarted by an 8-year-old. It's like, what?
No, but my problem with this is right, they're pointing guns. and he's holding the gun. Well, they're both holding guns at both of them. And then, like, when Joel's moving, it's like, how would Sam ever know what to do here?
Yeah, by the time Sam turns around to look at Henry communicate in sign language,
It's fucking stupid.
Joel's already snapped his neck like a twig, you know. So it's like,
No, that is stupid, man. Why'd they have to make him deaf? Come on, it didn't need.
Well, you know what? I thought the intro didn't really work because you were just kind of dealing with
This bit didn't work.
I think it was actually okay after this, but I think at the start when it was mainly just Sam and Henry, there was a lot of like dead air because Henry had no reason to talk because he was sign language communicating with Sam. But I think as soon as they meet up with Joel and Ellie, and then you have Henry communicating with those two, and then they try and get Sam involved, and he's using his wee writer to communicate with the others. I think it worked then, but again, I just don't really feel. I don't think it was a change that needed to be made. I don't think it made it better. However, I will say I thought it was actually okay. I thought it worked. And at the start, when I first seen it, I thought, God damn it, this is woke.
Well, it's definitely not going to be the worst stuff you've seen when you've seen Big Bill and Frankie.
No, definitely not. So
unless it was Henry and Sammy.
It's pretty funny though. Joel is telling Henry wants to tell Joel. Henry's telling Joel, look, I had the gun pointed at you, haven't done anything. So when I put the gun away, we're good, we're sweet. Joel's like, yeah, we're sweet, but Henry doesn't really buy it. Ellie assures
you normally sound like an asshole.
Ellie assures them that that's just the way Joel sounds. Eventually, though, they do put down the guns and they do communicate. Henry explains to Joel he can help them find a way out of the city. Henry says he kind of knows the way, but Joel is the one that's capable of getting them out.
Henry was a bit of a midget, wasn't he?
Yeah, I feel like in the game, Henry's more like capable of handling himself, and he's more like gangster. In this, he was more like a...
Well, so if you're a midget, you can't be a gangster?
Well, you can be, like, but... Whatever. So then Henry and Joel on their way, they're explaining what's happening, and Henry basically says the reason why Kathleen is after him because he used to be a rat. Well, not a rat. He doesn't call himself a rat. He says he's an informant, a collaborator. Joel then says he refuses to work with a rat. He's not going to do it, but Henry points out that he knows a safe way out of the city, and that him and Joel should work together. And with his knowledge of escaping and with Joel's weapons expertise, they'll be able to team up and get out. So Joel eventually is like, well, you know what? Don't really have a lot else we can do here. This guy knows the way out, so we're going to go with him. Who the fuck is that?
Wide receiver, Kansas City Chiefs, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Hey guys, Super Bowl tonight. Big shout out to the Kansas Chiefs.
That's why you got this on Friday.
Yeah, that's why you got this on Friday, guys, because the Super Bowl is tonight, so they moved the episode. Then big shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs. But we go back to the episode review. So they make their way into the tunnels. Henry tells Joel that he's not a violent person, that he's never killed anyone before, he's not good with guns, and apparently he says the guns that he aimed at Joel and Ellie were in fact unloaded.
Which he did mention earlier on in the episode, but not to Joel, obviously. So if you paid attention, you'd have got on.
Yeah, so if you paid attention, you got it. I obviously didn't. So, but yeah, the highways are being completely controlled by Kathleen, so they make their way into the tunnels. Joel wants to know, well, if the highways are controlled, then how do we escape? And then Henry tells Sam, tell him. And then Sam writes down on his wee pad, and he shows it to Joel and Ellie, and it says tunnels. And it's like, Henry could have just fucking says to Joel, yeah, look, we're going to escape through the tunnels. But he sets Sam up here, and look, and maybe it's to get Sam, maybe it's to make Sam feel involved. I get it, I'm not heartless, if he...
I get it, but it's like a life or death situation. They're trying to make light of it. The guy, just let him write tunnels. What if you wrote he didn't know what the answer was?
What if he couldn't spell tunnels? Then Joel just looks at it and he's like, am I supposed to trust you or something?
I know, it just said like fucking airplanes or something, I don't know. Superman?
Joel just turns around and shoots them. Joel just turns around and shoots them both, like, you're wasting my time.
Your daughter's dead, Joel.
Imagine it said that. Holy shit.
Joel would have fucking
Sam would have been dead. Well, dead earlier.
Fucking blind and deaf.
So they start going into the tunnel. Henry finds out that they survived a clicker encounter, and he thinks, well, I've got the right man, because if you can survive clickers, then you're pretty good. Henry then tells Joel that he, in fact, well, it's not that he really killed someone, but I believe he got someone killed. Or he was defending himself, self-defense.
No, he did kill them.
But it was like self-defense, wasn't it?
No, he said he had to kill them for fucking Fedra. In order to get Sam's leukemia treatment. So it was Kathleen's brother he killed.
No, he turned Kathleen's brother in.
He turned them in?
Aye. I think maybe he did kill somebody, but...
I thought he said he killed him.
He grasped on Kathleen's brother.
No, I thought he killed him.
I don't think he did.
He revealed to Joel that he lied to him and he said he has killed someone.
He gave him a big exchange and that turned out to be Michael. Anyway, so like Henry is no saint here, but I tell you what, he had to do what he had to do, and that was obviously make some sacrifices in order to get the leukemia treatment for his brother Sam. I mean, most people would do the same thing. Joel... Henry tells Joel that he understands if that makes him the bad guy, but then again, Joel's probably done a lot of things in this post-apocalyptic world that isn't exactly good either. Joel doesn't really say anything to him, and he just moves on. During this, we get Sam and we get Ellie bonding a lot, and I guess this brought out Ellie's like child side, I guess, you know. I mean, we're supposed to, and you kind of forget that she still is a kid herself, but I suppose when she was with Sam, she's allowed to be a child rather than, you know, having to be back up to Joel. So I guess the adult went out the window. And I thought the interactions with Sam and Ellie were pretty good considering Sam's death.
Yeah, but as good as a deaf person and a non-deaf person could get.
I thought it was pretty... They seemed like they bonded, you know. They seemed like they were friends. Seemed like they were, you know, they'd known each other a long time rather than just, like, what, half a day?
It would be shit getting brought up deaf in this world. Like, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, you'd be in a lot of trouble. Then we see Kathleen, and she's standing in her and Michael's childhood room. Perry arrives. He's got no update on the location of Henry or the man who killed Brian, which is obviously Joel. Kathleen's like, right, look, we need to do this. And she says that she's not going to give Henry, even though Michael would want her to give, Michael would want her to forgive Henry, but she says she's not going to do that.
Who actually cares about this scene, though? Oh, wee Kathleen grew up in this room. You're like 44 years old, Kathleen. Nobody gives a fuck.
So after Joel, Ellie, Henry and Sam make their way through the tunnels, they get out the other side. Sam and Ellie played football, but there was no infected in the tunnels, which I thought was disappointing, because I think with like the darkness in the enclosed spaces of the tunnels, I think this was a really good opportunity to give like a horror feel element here. Where if you had a couple of infected in a dark, a dark setting, dark light setting, closed combined space, where you're like almost trapped in, I felt this would have been a really good place to have some infected, but they didn't do that. Whereas in the game, the tunnels were filled with infected, and even Henry told Joel before they went into the tunnels that Fedra used to put infected people down the tunnels if they were bit, so he says the tunnels would contain some infected, and that's why he needed Joel's help to escape through the tunnels in the first place. So after kind of insinuating that we were going to get battles in the tunnels with infected and Joel in the group, we didn't get that. We just got the group bonding, which was good, but I thought like we could have done with some action here.
Yes, I feel like we could have done it, because it would have been proper horror themes in a claustrophobic tunnel. I
feel like maybe they wanted to save the action for the kind of, the sniper ambush scene, but still, I think they could have had at least a couple of infected here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But maybe, I don't know, maybe the show just doesn't want to overdo it. Maybe they feel like less is more.
Aye.
I'm not like Trev's Chan. I mean, seeing 2,000 infected isn't going to make me go best show ever. But I would like a bit. I
bet he loved this episode then.
But I would like a bit more action. But
I don't agree with Henry up next boasting about the tunnels were clear. Why is he fully on marking it about that, man? In this world, you don't boast until you know the coast is clear.
And unfortunately, the coast doesn't really get clear for them. Sniper ambush or someone shooting from like this top window house, but Joe, Ellie, Sam get cover.
I think it was the church tower, to be honest.
Church tower, whatever it was.
Top window house. It's bloody church tower, man.
Just get done to that.
No, it doesn't.
They get into cover. Joel tells them basically to wait here, and he manages to flank around. And he manages to get into the church tower. He sneaks up on the sniper, and it's a really old guy. It was weird. Originally, when I seen it, I thought it was Eldenstein.
I remember. I actually thought it was him.
It did look a bit like him. I was like, what the fuck? He's back for the dead. Maybe Kathleen didn't kill him.
Shot his ears off.
But no, it turns out that it was just some other old guy, and I'm guessing he's part of the Kansas City crew. He was... Joel says, don't make me do this, please.
Part of the Kansas City Chiefs too?
I hope so. Well, not with his shit, hopefully fucking not. His accuracy, it was shit. But Joel says, look, please don't make me do this. The guy considers it, then he turns the sniper around on Joel, but before he can do anything, Joel puts him down. Then we see Kathleen emerge with her crew. They run onto the scene kind of out of nowhere. Before Henry, Ellie and Sam can really do anything, they've caught up. Kathleen basically orders Henry to come out and that she'll make it quick.
I thought this scene was stupid though, right? Because see the car or the truck they were driving, how did it not catch up to them? The truck's staying about 50. These guys are running, and yet the truck doesn't catch up to them. Joe manages to shoot the guy driving, then the truck drives into the house. But yeah, I thought I'd mention that, because that bothered me when I was watching it.
Did they not catch up? No.
Well, it did, but not at the speed it should, man. Well, the deaf kids run at fucking 60 miles an hour.
This one does. Super Sam.
But Kathleen tells Henry, guess what? Sam's not allowed to live because kids die all the time, brother.
You see Kathleen, right? She's got no redeeming fucking qualities about her.
Yeah, if she was
boring, like very low tone speaking voice, out of shape.
Ugly.
Some model came out criticised her for this role and says that she's 20 years into an apocalypse. Where's Linda Hamilton when you need her? And then Kathleen came out and says her size doesn't matter, that her body shape doesn't matter. She's had a comfortable life, and besides, that's what henchmen are for. So it's an apocalypse. How the fuck could you have a comfortable life? Look at what Joel's eating. It's like eating burnt bloody bits of wood or something like that. It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, see, like Walking Dead, 10 years down the line, you see all these fat people. It doesn't make any sense.
No, but these people have literally risked their lives for a personal vendetta. The entire crew here is on a Rambo mission because of her. It's essentially led to their deaths.
Listen, I don't see how someone like Kathleen would ever get into this position of authority. And trust me, even if someone like Kathleen fluked into this position, like if she was the daughter of someone, or if she was the wife of someone, sooner or later she'd be overthrown.
Yep.
People like Kathleen would not be in these leadership roles in this sort of environment. After a while, they would just get they would get betrayed or overthrown or whatever.
Why Perry follows her to the death, man? Perry get jobbed out.
So Henry comes out. He tells Ellie to run with Sam. It looks like that's what's going to happen. Kathleen holds the gun towards Henry, but before she can do anything, we see the ground starts dissolving.
The truck falls into it,
and then a shitload of runners come out. And they ambush Kathleen's crew, and this kind of gives Henry, Sam, and Ellie a chance to escape. But there's that many runners. I don't know. For me, they think they should have just ran as soon as they had the opportunity, but they kind of stayed about for a bit.
Yeah, there's far too many. They just kind of looked at us. Yeah, again, kind of got themselves killed.
The Kansas City crew are trying to shoot all the runners. You have Joel trying to protect Ellie with his sniper. I thought this was a really good scene. Joel in the
child clicker.
Joel in the tower, the church tower. Ellie manages to jump inside the car thinking she's safe, but then this child clicker crawls in after her as well. Joel is sniping away. Then we see this big fucking bloater just emerges from the hole, and at this stage we see it kind of picking off some of the Kansas City citizens or whatever. Perry then tells Kathleen to run before attempting to take on the bloater himself. And for me, this was a horrible decision from Perry, and let's talk about it.
I mean, you could say it's badass, but I mean, you're 20 years in, you've dealt with these things before.
Hold on, what's the point of being badass if this so-called badass move's getting you killed 10 seconds later? You're not badass, you're dead. Do you know what I mean?
It's not like he sacrificed himself.
The badass would be if he done something that took the bloater down, maybe killed himself, but protected Kathleen and the majority. You know what I mean? All he really did was
look like a fucking nugget.
Got himself killed before the others got killed. So he starts firing bullets at the bloater. The bullets pretty much just seem to bounce off the bloater. Then he runs out of bullets. And it's like, what the fuck? I guess he thinks he's going to maybe go hand to hand against the bloater, but that doesn't really work. The bloater,
we're supposed to believe this crew's like top notch, and look at them.
The bloater then kind of grabs Perry, and then next minute just rips his head off, and it kind of like tosses his head to the side. While Kathleen's running away. Surprised Kathleen was running. It was more like a jog, to be honest.
Pissed
well, maybe if she'd lost a bit of that weight, she would have got away. We then see Kathleen catch up to Henry.
Don't know how.
Henry must have been crawling here. Henry.
So the benefit of Sam being deaf, can't hear this fat fuck run.
Maybe she wanted to eat them. I don't know. Then she holds Henry at gunpoint. It's like she's going to kill them, but before she can, she gets jumped, ambushed by one of the child clickers. I think it was the child clicker that was in the car with Ellie. Yeah, so this allows Sam, Ellie, and Henry to escape. They meet up with Joel. They get into a room. Joel and Henry are watching over Sam and Ellie as they continue to bond. They're reading their comic books. Life looks good. They're discussing what they're going to do. Joel repeats Ellie's offer earlier in the episode that Sam and Henry can come to Wyoming if they want to, and Henry accepts it and agrees, and looks like the four of them's going to set out there in the morning, but unfortunately Sam seems a little bit down, and he reveals to Ellie that he's bitten. Now, this didn't happen in the game. I preferred the game. I preferred the way the game done it. What's your thoughts on Sam showing his bite, revealing his bite, and then Ellie trying to, I guess, save Sam by rubbing some of her blood on his bite? I mean, I get you.
I feel like here it was so obvious he was bit. I mean, obviously everyone knows that's right. But anyway, it kind of just dragged on, and then he eventually reveals it. He writes on the wee hang, and then.
Well, let's pretend you've never seen the game.
Well, I didn't mind this, but when she cuts herself and tries to put some of her blood on his cut, fucking retarded.
Now, I know she's a child, and I know she's been told that her blood is like the cure, but I think surely it takes more than just rubbing a wee bit of blood on it.
No, but what happens, right? If she shows him the bite, and then big Henry walks in, he's like, "Oh, it's okay. She is also bitten." This fucking Henry whips at the gun, drops Ellie, then Joel drops Sam, and then Joel probably snaps Henry's neck and walks off.
Or they revisit episode 3, and the show continues with just Joel and Henry. Pretty a lot of people. But yeah, so Ellie then shows Sam her bite and reveals it's okay. She says that her blood's special. Her blood is medicine. So she rubs her blood on Sam's wound, and she promises Sam that she'll stay awake with him that night to make sure everything's okay. But Ellie unfortunately falls asleep. She wakes up and sees Sam sitting up. She approaches him, taps him on the shoulder, but doesn't realise he's become infected during the night. I'm assuming the reason Sam didn't attack anyone is because
he's deaf.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. Like, I don't know, maybe.
Is he not like the most shittest? Because like after time they would become blind, don't they?
I think so.
And if he's deaf,
he's fucked, isn't he? How's he going to get everything? Yeah.
Right, but why didn't Ellie let them know, man? Come on.
Well, I believe she thought she was going to save him by wiping her blood on him, but.
Well, why can't she tell him that? Here, he's bit, but hopefully my blood works.
Yeah. Anyway, Sam jumps on top of Ellie. They burst out the door. Joel and Henry wake up, see the commotion, they see Sam attacking Ellie. Henry sees Joel heading for his gun, but he grabs it instead and he tells him to stay away. Joel attempts to break it up, but Henry fires a shot at Joel's feet, and then Henry decides to turn the gun and shoot Sam, shooting his brother, saving Ellie. Then he looks at his brother and he just sees the blood coming out of his brother's head.
What have I done?
He's like, what have I done? What have I done? Then he points the gun again at Joel, which... It's like, fuck me, how many times you gotta... Surely, sir... Now, I know Joel's been nice to you so far, but I mean, there's only so many times Joel's going to accept having the gun pointed at him. But then Henry points the gun on himself, and Ellie watches on, and we just hear... We don't get to see it, but, you know, it doesn't take... 2 + 2 = 4 on this occasion.
Ellie looks more retarded than usual, which suggests something happened.
Yeah, then we go to the next scene. We see Joel burying Sam and Henry's body. Then Ellie dejectedly gives Joel his things before leaving Sam's magic slate, which is his like wee drawing thing where you can like write whatever you want on it, then make it erase it, and she writes "I'm sorry" on it and then leaves it on the grave of Sam before they decide to leave and head for they leave Kansas City behind and I guess head to try and find Tommy. And that is the end of the episode. Season 1, Episode 5, Endure and Survive. Unfortunately, Henry and Sam didn't survive. Thoughts on the ending of the episode and your overall rating?
I thought it was really good, but I just think there is a couple of stupid decisions throughout it which take points off for me, so I'll give it an 8.
There's a common theme here. That you give it an 8 and I give it a 9. I'm going to keep that common theme up. I don't think it's a 9, but I think it's a little bit better than an 8. So if I get a 9, you give it an 8, it's an 8.5. I would say this is probably the 3rd best episode of the show. Maybe the second. What would? We know what, we're at the halfway stage. We'll probably
I'd say it's the second best.
We'll make a video. We'll make a video. We'll make a bunch of videos over the next couple of days. We'll rank the episodes up to the halfway point. We'll rank the characters up to the halfway point, and we'll go over any sort of theory fids. But yeah, we're giving this an 8.5 out of 10. Definitely. It's definitely up there. I tell you what, though, there hasn't been a bad episode, I don't think. Episode 3 is
gay, so
it's gay.
It's a special. I love the gay.
It wasn't like episode 3. I'm not saying it was the quality of the episode wasn't bad, but I don't care how gay are you cannot deny that it just derailed. Yeah, and it was filler, man. It did. It derailed the show, and Bill derailed Frank. So with that said, we're going.
I think Frank derailed Bill.
Well, now they're both derailed. Thank God for that. Let's move on. Till next time. Peace.
I'm going off the rails on this crazy train.